Good morning. I'm Yashwi Jain, Director of Sequoia Print. And my background is in computer science. So my passion really lies in writing lots of lines of code and converting it into software that's used across consumers, that handles a lot of edge cases, and that gives me insight about, okay, what I'm working on and how it helps improve certain frameworks or policies that are being managed in a software-driven way. So I traded that 2 years ago to work on print, which is a more tangible form of consumer product. And it has a lot more edge cases than any software does, because you're dealing with changing sentiments. You're dealing with changing consumer behavior. You're dealing with a lot more parameters than I did with software, which was a lot more logical. So my presentation today is going to focus on 3 experiments, one in structure, one in storytelling, and one in manufacturing. And they all stem from the same curiosity that I have, which is, how does packaging really work when it's in the hands of consumers? And how does it need to be built after that? Rather than looking at it from a purely from a point where the graphic design is decided first and then you're kind of deciding the structure in the unboxing experience, I'm working in a backward way, like what really happens before the graphics are decided? What can I bring as a person who's interested in packaging and engineering into the forefront of this industry? All right, so and at the onset, these may seem unrelated. I'm going to talk about a chocolate box. I'm going to talk about a tea box, and then I'm going to talk about the topic that I'm most interested in, which is understanding how we are digitizing our current factory floor. And these are just 3 experiments that speak to that. So at Sequoia Print, we started with this one question: can packaging do more than just contain a product? Can it create interaction? Can it shape consumer behavior? And can it make our manufacturing smarter? So these are 3 experiments from that question. So we asked a different question for the chocolate box, and these are actual projects that we have worked on for the startups. And our parent company is focused on FMCG products in more established brands. We have taken that kind of business model and we're catering to startups, because we've come to realize over the past 1 year that startups in India have a huge appetite for taking risks when it comes to how they want their packaging to look like. They are very okay with it not being conventional, not being composite. They want it to look different, they want it to feel different, and they are also open with experimenting that. So that's the kind of niche that we are working on. And the question that we started with is, what should that packaging make someone do? Because the graphics were added later, because we kind of intercepted this startup when they were at the very early stages. So we wanted to decide the structure that it should take and then add the graphics on it. So the graphics is kind of like a complementary to what the structure should be. This is the chocolate box idea. Now, this may seem very plain if you look at it, because of course it's without the graphics. But the unique thing about this is it's made completely from paperboard, and what the finished product is going to be, it's going to be recyclable paperboard, so completely sustainable driven. And when you think of a premium chocolate box, you think of a rigid box, you think of a tray, you think of an opening lid mechanism, maybe a magnet, you think of like a plastic or some kind of a see-through format structure on top of it. You don't really think of this when you think of premium chocolate boxes or like really luxury chocolate boxes that needs to be sold India-wide. So they wanted to focus on one format only. They only wanted to focus on paperboard, and they wanted that to be the hero of their packaging structure. So we took everything that a rigid box offers, that is the protection, the product visibility, the product presentation, the elevation, the way it works, and we took all of those functionalities and just asked paperboard to do more work. So we went through multiple rounds of prototypes, and this structure, when you lift up the lid, that tray ever so slightly and really smoothly kind of elevates up. So when it elevates up, it gives you that luxury feel. It gives you that tactile understanding of, okay, this is the product that's moving up. It's kind of giving you that premium luxury feel to the product. And these are yeah, this is basically what I just said. So the result was we created a paperboard structure that is one sheet, one die cut, no separate rigid tray, no vacuum formed insert, and no corrugated fitment, and it does every single thing a rigid box does. It offers the same kind of protection, the same kind of product presentation, the same kind of premiumness that you want that product to have. So we just replicated that into paperboard. So these are some of the 3D renditions that we did to understand the kind of storytelling that box could create. And the engineer in me wanted to dive a little bit more. And how do I play this? This is AI-generated, purely AI-generated product unveiling experience. And you should hear the sounds of this. I'm not sure, it's not coming right now, but it's exactly how we want someone to feel when they touch paper in a premium rigid box experience. We want them to feel the same way they would feel in a rigid box structure. So this is not taking away from the experience. So I'll play that video once more. This is purely AI generated. And on this slide here, this is something that startups also want now. They want different kinds of packaging inserts. So we created ritual cards for them. We created mood cards for them, like, have this chocolate when you feel this way. This was done in collaboration with their design team. And we used really premium paperboard for this, a really high GSM, uncoated paper. And this was just like, if you look at the India example, it says, when you need celebration, share with others, mark the occasion, enjoy the moment, and it kind of transports you into that feel of the celebratory feel. So this is something that they wanted to insert in their packaging, which will look something like this at the bottom. So it's going to be like inserts either on top or the back of the chocolate box. So my next presentation is experimenting with a tea company that came to us, and they wanted to just make their packaging look different. So we did a very big competitor analysis of all the tea brands out there in India, and they all looked more or less the same when it comes to the way they have put their tea in the sachets. It's always a tear sachet, it's always a box, and it's always just like stacked next to each other. So we wanted to challenge that idea, that can we change the way consumers do the very first thing, which is pick up a tea sachet? Can we change that? So this structure forces that in a way that I'll explain in the next slide, but these triangular components just slow down the interaction. When you open this, it's not very intuitive without the graphics that this is a tea box structure. So nowadays, within the Gen Z and millennials, maybe chaos packaging is becoming a really big thing. It's just a thing that what you're buying, the product looks completely different. So that's why they're selling like coffee nowadays in paint tins, and they're selling oil in squeeze-out tubes. So it's just a way to make the product look something different. So our inspiration for this keyline structure came from that. It was purely chaos packaging. And we wanted the users to pause before they decided which one to pick. So when you look at your Lipton or your Vadham tea or any other tea, luxury tea out there, they open it, they grab it, and that becomes their habit every time they open the tea box structure. We wanted to challenge that. So we wanted the packaging to kind of instruct the user how they should be interacting with the product. So you open it, you discover it, and then you select. That's how we wanted to make our packaging and unboxing structure more intentional. So these are some of the samples of work. So it's made in a way that the extreme right and the extreme left triangular structures have a little bit of a spacing there. So it's the most easiest to pick up. And there's going to be some kind of a packaging insert that also explains to the user how they're going to start at the very end and make their way into the center of the tea box structure. So that's a way in which the packaging is kind of telling the consumer how they should be consuming this product. So the way the flavors are also put, it's put in a similar way that you start out with the lightest and then you kind of make your way into a more stronger form of tea. So this was one of the structures that we experimented with, which is not being done anywhere in India right now when it comes to tea unboxing experiences. And the triangular structures represent two, like the buds of the tea that are grown in the garden. So it represents that kind of a structure. So our behavioral approach when it comes to understanding different key line diagrams is what behavior are we trying to create? Do we want the user to just pick up a sachet mindlessly, or do we want that experience to hold more intention? What interaction enables that behavior? So what can we do in the packaging that forces them to do this particular thing when it comes to unboxing? And what structure enables that interaction? So once we had a rough idea about how we wanted to approach this, we built that prototype. And this project is something that is purely engineering driven. So we wanted more insight about how every single machine is used in our factory floor. So with a large number of machines, we only had very minimal data and understanding about the run rate, the pause time, the idle time, the wash rate, how many plates are used per job, how many impressions are happening, how many waste sheets are being used, how many good sheets are being transferred to the next department. And we wanted to use this data to drive the business decision that we wanted to take next, whether it's buying a new machine, whether it's hiring more people in a particular department, whether it's reallocating our resources, whether it's skill development. We did not know how to manage all of these questions, and we wanted data to answer that. So we built a system that I'm really proud to say last year we were at a 60% accuracy rate. Today, we're at a 100% accuracy rate. So every single thing that happens on our machine, whether it's, this is a screenshot of the dashboard, whether it's which units are selected, which units are on, what impression is happening in which unit, which ink tray is open or closed, which waste ink tray is open or closed, which ink handle is switched on or off, pass, full pause, full stop, inching, plate removal, plate installation, when registration is happening, when make ready is happening. We have 100% accurate data to understand every single point in our machine. And we have taken this concept and replicated it to all the other machines in our factory floor. So this has given us a kind of data management tool that we have not had access to before, because it basically helps in driving business decisions. When we want to understand which jobs had the most remakes, which jobs had the most artwork corrections, in which jobs do we always have color inconsistency problems, and how can we fix that? This is the data that's helping us answer that on a daily basis. It also helps us do job planning better. So because this software is so customized to the way our factory functions, and we wanted to get, we do not want any generic software that kind of gives us an industry-wide answer about the way we should be running our machines and how can we improve it. So we built this software to just help us do those things better. And even when it comes to job planning, if we know that some jobs that are repeat jobs always take longer, we know when to plan it better. We know when maintenance needs to be scheduled on this particular machine purely based on these insights. So every day, hundreds of decisions are being made on the shop floor. So before a factory can become intelligent, we need to understand the observable data points. What do we need to observe that helps us drive those business decisions? So the future of print belongs to those willing to experiment. These are just some of my experiments, and it's a field that I'm really passionate about. Engineering is something I'm also really passionate about, and this is my way of bringing those two worlds closer to each other and how we can make this industry more technically driven. That's always something that's on my mind.